too.
All right, grasshoppers. Woo! Thank God. Like you sit here all week long and you just say to yourself, is it going to happen? At roughly 11:30 on Monday, are we going to be able to see the great Mark Puttenvink?
Yeah, you never know.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm great, man. How's your weekend?
Good. Zero good. Yeah, didn't do a whole lot. I had to do a lot of stuff with the Rangers. Obviously, their season wound down, came to an end. Got to be proud of them for the way they played, young kids and everything. We were talking before the show there. The burning question is people are wanting to find out what happened with Kaapo Kakko, why he didn't address. That'd be interesting. And it did seem like Gallant did not want. Well, it seemed like he just did not want to discuss it after the game. So
it was a strange move for sure, but.
Yeah, and people are thinking like, is it some off ice? Like, did he do something wrong off the ice? He seems like, from what I've seen, a real professional young kid. That you'd have to be like going out partying or something like that. I just don't see.
So there was an article in the Post today about the UFAs and the RFAs, and I think he's an RFA, and I'm wondering if they were trying to diminish some of his stock by putting a negative thought out into the hockey world, so somebody doesn't try and give him a big contract they got a match.
He's an RFA, so that means he's not an unrestricted free agent. So
right, the Rangers get to match, right? But you wonder if they're I don't know. And his agent was Chris Drury's agent, correct?
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah. So there's something, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
That is strange. Yeah. And again, they did list it as a healthy scratch, and they can't hide injuries. So, and there's no, I don't think they would do that anyways.
Yeah, probably not. No, it's too complicated.
So you and I are both, obviously, the physical fitness is very important to both of us, big part of our lives, but also the mental health too. And we do a lot of things with a lot of people. And I think we're seeing more and more of it now, where mental health issues, bullying, suicides, a lot of different things going on. So we want to touch on that. And again, I've really learned a lot more. Like the mental health side of it, how it can help your overall health. I had no clue about probably up until the last 5 years doing all the stuff with True Good Life and everything. So I know I will be careful not to use names there, but you've got a young man that you received a message about this, like an 11-year-old getting bullied, right?
Correct. Yeah. So they're out on the West Coast. They're friends of Beth. And I mentioned in the past, I train via FaceTime their 8-year-old son, who's the middle boy, who had some middle child issues to begin with. And there was some compounding things, like they moved out to LA because the mom took a new job right when COVID hit. So and you want to talk about mental health, that child equated the restrictions of COVID due to the move from New York to LA. He didn't understand it. Everybody was suffering. So there was that. And I started training him, and he's doing fantastic. But he's got an older brother who is not physical, like this other child is, and is not athletic. And there's nothing wrong with that, but he just isn't. And apparently he was involved in a pretty bad bullying incident within the past few days. So you and I discussed before the show a little bit. I really got to thinking about it, and I know a ton of martial artists, boxers, and all kinds of different. I want to try to put together, and if anybody has any ideas out there, please hit me up. I want to put together a video series for free. We'll make it a nonprofit. Really simple ways for kids who are not aggressive, kids who are not part of the cool group, to still be able to handle their business in a non-aggressive manner. And I know that's asking a lot, but I think it can be done.
Yeah, I try to think too as a parent. There's a lot of parents out there that don't want their kids to be physical like that at all, right? They want them to, which I get it. I just
we don't buy
it. What's that saying? It's the good man is a dangerous man that has discipline. Which means, to clear it for everybody, if again, Mark does a lot of this training. So if you learn martial arts or boxing or some physical way to defend yourself or be aggressive, part of what the good teachers teach you is to don't use it. Like,
correct,
have it, but don't use it. That's your last resort. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm a big proponent in that even for a young person, especially, but any person's confidence in themselves, not just as a man, as a woman could be the same way. Mm-hmm. If they know how to take care of themselves, they carry themselves in a different way. They don't tend to get bullied as much or at all because they give off this aura of confidence in themselves, right?
There's actually fact behind that, Tom. So in 1981, two sociologists, I may have told you the story before, but Grayson.
I like this though.
Grayson and Klein. So they They took a video camera, they stuck it on a very busy intersection in Manhattan, and from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., so for 4 hours, for 3 days in a row, all they did was videotape the people walking up and down the sidewalks. They took that video and they went into the penitentiary. They got some of the most violent criminals. We're talking about murderers and rapists, and they had probably a dozen or so. And they sat them down and they played the videos for them, and they had to fill out who they would attack, who they would try to rob or hurt, and who they would avoid. And across the board, it was uniform. And what they found was that it's kind of common sense, but now it's backed up to some science here, that people who tend to walk in a certain manner. So when they're walking down the sidewalk, and if I see Tom walking towards me, I'm going to put my head down and step to the side and allow him through. Tom is tall and erect and strong, and he's going to walk right through me. Who do you think the criminal is going to say, okay, who? So the way we carry ourselves either gives the bad guy two bits of information. One is to attack or avoid. Tom gets avoided because he's strong and he's tall. He's walking with purpose. I get attacked because I'm shuffling. I'm looking down. I'm being submissive. It's really that simple. But I could walk just as tall as Tom, be half a foot shorter, but I could still walk as tall and confident. And that violent intention by that criminal would be negated.
Yeah, and you can still be that good person to do that too. You don't have to be a jerk about it, right? You're walking confident in yourself. You can still be cordial to other people, saying hello to everybody else, but just that confidence about yourself that you.
Yeah, like the way you carry yourself. If you think about the animal world, right? Why does a cobra have that really cool hood? That's a sign. Don't come near him, man. I'm gonna, you're about to get it. Why do a lot of animals they do chest puffing. A lot of young men down in Jersey Shore do it too as well. But in any event, so it definitely is the way you walk, the way you talk, and even nonverbal. I forget what the percentage is. I have to check it. I think 65% of our communication is nonverbal. I'm sure somebody out there smarter than me will come back with the percentage, but it's pretty high.
Yeah, and my mother, God rest her soul, when I was small, we were walking. So we grew up on the farm, so we were in town, and I'll never forget this. I must have been 6 or 7 years old, and we're walking down the street, and there's a group of young guys, like teenage, like tough punks. That's to me, at 6 years old or 7 years old, they look like they're a bunch of bad guys. And just my mother and I walking down the street, and I'll never forget. She didn't stop a bit. She just kept on going, confident gait to her the whole bit. And we got past. I said to her, like, weren't you scared of those guys? And she goes, well, yeah, a little bit, but don't you ever let them see you scared.
Right. Exactly.
Right? She was teaching me a lesson, both, to get out of their fight. I don't know how bad the situation was, but she really taught me a lesson.
Sure. Well, it's a great life lesson. And, we were going back to talking about martial arts, and, not every child has to be a black belt, but they should have a basic understanding of ways to really prevent, number one. So remember, if I spoke in the past about the continuum would be escape is the first line of defense, escape. Well, actually, the first line of defense is avoid. Just avoid the situation if you can. Second one is escape. Third one is de-escalate, try to talk your way out of it. And then the last one would be to have to be confrontational. But why do you learn this stuff? Well, everybody should. Everybody's got a fire extinguisher in your house. Not because you're planning on the house catching fire, but if it does, you've got it. And that's the whole point.
That's a good point. Very good point. Yeah. Ron, our good friend Ron up in Buffalo.
Jameson,
walking around with his shirt off again. Listen, when I do a shirt with Mark Buttenbank, Mark barely has. Do you even own a shirt? You just get that one shirt.
I had one like in 83. 83, yeah.
Yes. So, I was real quick. I forgot to ask about Brad. This is
our good friend Brad.
Friend of ours that got a serious injury, got lost his fingers, all his fingers. He's back home again now.
Correct. Yes. So last I heard, I'm going to go see him tomorrow. Last I heard, he's home. We've conversed over the phone, but seems to be doing better. He's got a long road ahead of him, but he's a fighter, and I'm sure he's going to be successful. And I can tell you this much, Tom. I know Brad. Brad's that kind of guy. Even with whatever's left and functioning, he's still going to be out there laying papers at 5 a.m. in about a year's time from now, because that's just who he is.
Yeah. This is awful, but thank God he's okay. He's going to survive. Has he got a sense of humor?
Brad, oh yeah, great sense of humor.
So what we
he needs one hanging around with me.
We'll be giving it to him down the road.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. without a doubt. Stubby.
So just everybody knows he got in an accident. He was using this table saw, correct? Right? And
Yeah.
hand
It
pulled.
was a horrible accident.
Yeah.
But no, he's doing fine.
Yeah.
Good man.
Okay. So mental health, it's a big topic now. It seems to be a bigger topic all the time, whether it's, suicide, bullying. You see a lot of people now who, younger people too. It's like a real lack of self-esteem too. It seems like, and I don't know, there's so many factors. You can't just point to one. You see a lot of social media. It is funny when you go on Instagram or Facebook, whatever, especially Instagram, it seems like all these beautiful people, on beautiful vacations. And I think it's easy for some people to say, well, I'm not, everybody else is beautiful because I see it all over the place and I'm not. Yeah. So they're like down the dumps and everything.
So, that's another part of the bullying. And I don't really know how to address it because I have no, the social media bullying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find a way. So again, if anybody out there knows somebody who's a professional of how we can start to educate some of the kids and the parents. Yeah. So the parents can be aware of what's going on social media, because there have been children have committed suicide due to internet bullying,
Totally.
And it's easy now because you could sit behind, we call them keyboard warriors, and talk a tough game and not have to leave the house and yet still intimidate and brutalize somebody.
What I've found is like through me doing all this True Grit Life, like part of what I've learned is like helping other people, like in a small ways, you can help other people a lot just by complimenting them and say, hey, you look fantastic today, or great job. You're an intelligent kid, compliment people. And it doesn't cost you anything. And the benefit it does to a lot of people, like I've had people come up to me and say, Tom, you treat everybody so great. I did an event with the Rangers. We were down all their employees before one game in the afternoon. And we were going around just thanking all the employees, the concession workers, and all that kind of stuff. And that was my job to do it. But they picked me because that's what I do anyways now. Yeah. So, and it was amazing, the reaction, how much it meant to people just to go out of your way to say, hey, we wanted to thank you for all the hard work you're doing. And it was just incredible to watch. It just kind of reconfirmed to me how much of a difference you can make. So that's, to me, that's one of the big things. And I know you do the same stuff too, that, like everybody is, I think particularly adults with young people, like to go out of your way. If you're walking by somebody, it doesn't cost you anything at all.
Say hello, good morning, how are you?
Make the kid feel good about themselves. Hey, wow, the hair looks nice today. Wow, you really dressed nice today. Something. I mean, obviously you can't be weird about it, but
I just started training a young man. I think he is 13. Yeah. And when you initially, because you've done it, you've been coaching forever too. When you initially meet an athlete, you can tell right away if they have confidence or not in their abilities and in the way they by the way they present themselves to you. And I always do my best, and I'm pretty successful at it, making them comfortable. Yeah. So that when I'm teaching them a new movement or a foot drill or whatever, that they're not intimidated and saying, oh, I can't do it. But I encourage them to get to the understanding that they can do it, and one thing Bill Brown said, and it really sticks with me, we had a Zoom call. It was Johnny, myself, Bill Brown, and we were talking about how we're going to help Brad. This is right when it first occurred. And Bill said something, and I really held on to it.
Just so everybody knows, Bill Brown's a former Teams and Navy SEAL Teams guy.
Correct.
One of our shows.
So Bill said to us, he said, you know what? We have to do everything we can to set Brad up for success. And I think that really goes across the board for coaching. Like if you're coaching a team, you want your athletes to put them in the best position so they can be successful. I think it's with our children, with our friends, with everybody not everybody we meet, but you know what I'm saying? Really try to work it. And also, here's a big one, put ourselves in the best position to be successful. Yeah. Sometimes we overlook, you and I know Ted, we all get caught up in doing so many things to try and help people, which is fantastic. But sometimes, you know what? It's not a bad thing to help yourself. And I think right now, given the situation that the world sees economically and all the nonsense, and I don't want to get political, but to your point, Tom, I think mental health, it's a crisis right now in this country. If you look at the suicide rate of young girls, went up 50% in 1 year. Teenage girls, 50%.
Yeah.
So in any event,
and people talk it's interesting. You got an event that you wanted to talk about too that you're going to, and one of the things is to try to educate people, particularly about veterans and suicide. One of the things they talk about is reading the signs of somebody potentially thinking about taking their own life. And then you look back, you think to yourself, well, I mean, is there always signs? I mean, are we missing? I had a client of mine 2 years ago now who committed suicide. I wasn't physically with him, but in talking to his family, people around him, they didn't see any signs at all. Now, maybe there were things that actually were signs, they just didn't read them properly.
They didn't pick up on it. Yeah. Well, look, we're not all mental health professionals, but I'm going to be going next week to it's a 2-hour seminar on identifying and doing what you can do to prevent, in this particular case, veteran suicide. And I guess what I know now, and my initial takeaway even from the brochure, is it's okay to ask, hey, are you thinking of hurting yourself or killing yourself? It's okay, because they can say, no, I'm all right. Or they might say, I'm actually thinking about that.
Yeah.
And then you have to act upon that. Yeah.
Right.
And hopefully I'll know after the seminar what to do, how to act upon it. Yeah. What to do.
That is interesting, right? That if you're sensing something, or even if you're like, probably even if you're not sensing something, but you're kind of worried something's a little bit off with this person.
Right.
So it's okay, is particularly with veterans. Well, I guess anybody then, right? It can't just be veterans. It's okay to ask.
Anybody, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Tom, I think, so the other day, and going back to your earlier point, I say hello to everybody, I talk to everybody, I meet at 7-Eleven, wherever I am. And a woman came in and she's wearing a Rangers sweatshirt, right? And I said, hey, this was game 5, I guess, whatever it was. Yeah. We got to talking. Turns out her son was in the 82nd Airborne. She herself coaches girls hockey up in Sportorama here in New York, in Rockland County. And she said, I told her about the Warrior program. She says, I want to help. Oh. But the big thing, the takeaway I got from it, she, unfortunately, her son, who was in the 82nd Airborne and was in Afghanistan, is not well. He's really struggling, isolated himself from his family. And there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Yeah. But again, going back to the point, it's okay to ask anybody if you're okay.
Yeah, that is true. And we should probably go out of our way. I know there's some people out there that just don't want to hear it, right? They're too busy or whatever. But yeah, it really does make a difference. Like the difference you can make in somebody's life with just a stranger, just by a simple, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm really caring about it, not just asking, right?
Just what you said. We do it all the time. Hey, Tom, how you doing? But now we got to take it to the next level where we really find out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's like I know for me, I'm sure you say the same thing. For me, every time I've done something, the small thing to just make somebody's day better, make them feel better about themselves, you make yourself stronger too. You end up getting better. Yeah. And the way people perceive you now is even better too, right?
You read the book about making your bed in the morning. And what's so important about that is, and he says this, it's so important, it gave you a sense of accomplishment. It's a little, it's a trivial act, but it's a sense of accomplishment. And then you start to, and I've been trying to really be diligent with this myself, because I can procrastinate like anybody else. Mm-hmm. Get it done. And then you're happy. You feel so fulfilled, right? And it gets back to last week, I spoke about the enemy that you ignore is the enemy that will conquer you. So I was working out with CJ, who was a young man last night or yesterday. We were doing some martial arts, and I love everything in the whole martial art world, but there are some things I favor more than others, right? So I gravitate to certain things, and I have to remember, do the things I don't like. Yeah, you can't only do the things you like. You got to do the stuff you don't like.
Yeah, is that true? Yeah. It's like, I know you do the same thing too, but the cold shower thing. I try to teach people all the time now. Listen, it sounds weird, but it really does help you get out of your comfort zone. It reminds you. So you stand in the warm shower. Yeah, you're nice and comfortable. You stand there for a while, and then you're going to turn it cold. And I know it seems strange to have you do it, but there's a lot of health benefits to it. Supposedly helps
incredibly healthy.
But the biggest thing for me is it's uncomfortable, right? When you first do it, you don't want to do it. You know the cold water. When you're just turning that dial down, you know the cold water's coming. You think, oh God. But it's amazing once you do it all the time. Again, I think you do it. I do it every day now. And it's like, if I don't do it, it's like making the bed. It's like it's another one of those things that you don't have to do. It's going to make yourself better.
Yeah, and it's really great for your immune system. It's just cranks up your whole metabolism a little bit there, and so it's good stuff. But so there's another thing that I tripped across over the weekend, Tom, and this.
Speaking of tripping, sorry, I got to get this up. Somebody's giving you a hard time here. Barry Shelley. Thanks a lot, Mark. My wife is watching your videos.
What did she buy?
She bought a pair of flip-flops.
Oh, you know what, Barry? FaceTime me. I'll give you lessons. I'll show you how to walk out here. I can't tell you how many diggers I took going up the stairs with flip-flops on.
That's funny. This is Mr. Flip. If anybody doesn't know, Mark Puttenvig is Mr. Flip Flop and Mr. Tank Top too. Mr. Tank Top, Mr. Flip Flop.
Yeah, I want to live the Margaritaville lifestyle. But so here's a great thing. I tripped across over the weekend and talking about perception. And this has a lot to do with mental health if you think about it. There's a connection here. So let's say you and I, well, you're not a golfer. What's one of the most favorite things you like to do outside, Tom? And it's weather dependent. Think of something. I don't know.
Going on my hikes, my marches.
Okay.
Sure.
So you and I plan a great hike. We're going to go to the Adirondacks. We're going to do this great hike. And we roll up and it's absolutely a torrential downpour. And we're like looking at each other going, mother, right? However, if you and I are stranded on desert island and it hasn't rained in a month and we're about to die and the heavens open up. So that's how your perception of the same event can be so different.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Yeah,
that's true too, isn't it? And there's so many things that we're just conditioned by TV or people around. Like Wednesday is hump day. Well, to me, Wednesday is pump day. If it's hump day, it's like you're just getting through the week. You're just getting past that hurdle. Where I'm looking at it more, I love this week, so I'm not it's a pump day for me. There's a lot of stuff. Like now, even when you watch the news or the weather, it gets cold now. It's called a polar vortex, right?
Oh, everything's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't called a polar vortex before. It was just cold. We had cold weather.
And then didn't we have a snow bomb or snow something?
Yeah. It's snow cyclone or something.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what it was. It's unbelievable. Sharknado. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like we just got to make these big events to make it sound like it's even worse. Or thank God it's Friday. We barely made it through the week again.
Well, years ago when I was driving up to Albany, I would put a cassette in. It was Zig Ziglar, who's a motivational speaker.
Yeah, I remember Zig.
Pretty famous guy.
Yeah,
and he talks a lot about the negativity in our life.
Yeah.
And so when you give directions, you go to people, go to the third stoplight and make a right.
Right.
He goes, well, it's a go light as much as it is a stoplight, but our negative way of thinking.
That's true. Yeah.
And he said that when you have a kid, you say, hey, you put the glass of milk in front of them, don't spill it. You've already put a negative thought in their head.
True.
He said what you should do is put the glass down and say, drink every drop.
Yeah, it's true.
And so.
What is it? There's a couple other ones that are like that too. I'll think of what's going along, but it is true. Like it's always like the negative thing, right?
Well, he's great. I don't know if I tell you this story, because he goes, I get paid ridiculous amounts of money to go speak to large corporations about primarily motivation. And generally speaking, it's salespeople, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, so Zig, what exactly is motivation? Can you define it? Can you distill it down to one thing? He said, sure, I'll tell you a story. This is a perfect story of motivation. So there was a wealthy Texas oil man, and he owned like tens of thousands of acres of prime land, thousands of heads of cattle, and this beautiful, opulent mansion, right? And he had only but one child, and it was her 16th coming out party. So he threw this big coming out party, and young men from literally hundreds of miles in the area showed up. But he had the foresight to fill his Olympic-sized pool up with rattlesnakes. And before the guys got to meet the 16 debutante, his daughter, he gathered them down by the pool and said, young men, thank you for attending. Before we start, as you can see, the pool's full of rattlesnakes. And any young man that can swim from one end of the pool to the other will either get 1,000 of my most $1 million cash, or 5,000 acres of my best land, or the hand of my one and only daughter in marriage. And as soon as he got done saying that, he hears a splash at one end of the pool, immediately followed by a dripping wet young man at the other end of the pool. He's like, my son, that's outstanding. That's a world record. He said, so what is it? You want the $1 million cash? He said, no, sir. So you want 10,000 acres of my primus land? No, sir. Okay, I get it. Because you want my daughter's hand in marriage, because someday this will all be yours. He said, no, sir. He said, well, God damn it, son, what is it you want? I want the name of the dude who pushed me in the pool. So that's motivation. Yeah.
It's the same thing. We've talked about this before too, and I haven't always thought this way. I know a lot of coaches, and I've done it myself. Say you're coaching hockey, youth hockey. If the players act up, they're not playing well, they're undisciplined, very often in practices, the coach will take you and they'll do a bag skate. They'll punish you by skating you. And I've realized, oh no, that's wrong. Now you're teaching those kids that conditioning is a negative thing. You've done something wrong. Now you're being punished. We want to teach these kids that conditioning is a good thing. They should be doing good. So that, and usually it didn't do any good anyways when you're trying to skate. These kids are playing bad. But I've done the same thing.
We all have. Yeah,
definitely. Positive reinforcement. I do a lot of, there's not a whole lot, but I've talked to you before. There's this Tecumseh. He's a warrior chief, Shawnee warrior back in 1800. Yeah. And it's interesting because he's this big warrior chief, but he wrote all this fantastic poetry, very meaningful, like how to treat your people, how to live your life and everything like that. And I just thought it was interesting that here's this guy, involved in, defending his tribe and killing people or, doing whatever, a very violent life, but it was still able to write all this fantastic poetry. So
it was tremendous. Yeah. I think, going back to the whole mental health thing and everything that's going on right now, it's easy to sit back and go, wow, this really is not, it kind of sucks right now. But being physically active is probably the best alleviation of any mental depression you have. Get out, go for a walk, go. If it's just do something, move. Movement is really healthy. Yeah.
Well, I haven't had her on a show in a while. It's Jillian Brown, and she's going through some tough times right now. She's a young girl up in Canada, had been in an abusive relationship, had been diagnosed with PTSD, and she had been running a camp or helping running a camp, and the whole theory was that just to get moving.
Absolutely.
Particularly with PTSD, it's like your body kind of stops, and the idea is to get moving again. But I agree with you. Like, just keep moving, stay healthy. The healthy food too. I was very, very happy. I don't know if I told you, we discussed this. I made my own homemade ketchup last week. Oh,
yes, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh man, my diet.
I like the watermelon you introduced yesterday too.
Yeah,
Beth makes a great. She makes a great watermelon salad. I forget what else is in it, but it's tremendous. Really good.
You know what? I was in the city about 2 weeks ago doing an event, and we had lunch, and on the menu was watermelon salad. And I put a little. They had salmon.
Really good. Actually, I gotta make it again.
I was surprised. I didn't think it would go well together, but it was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, watermelon's got a ton of electrolytes in it. It's really
citrulline too, I guess, right? Citrulline is very good for your blood flow. It's got
correct, real good for your blood flow. It's a vasodilator, and so what I would do with my athletes that had to make weight, say if you got a fighter that's got to make weight, it's a way to rehydrate them and do it in a proper fashion. We would use watermelon and cantaloupe because it's getting the water, it's getting the hydration back into your system and some nutrients as well.
I love the watermelon. Oh, yeah, big watermelon, man. You know what I never realized? Amino acids play a really big role. Very important for you to take extra amino acids, right?
Incredibly important. Yeah. Incredibly important.
I'd taken them, and I guess the other day I was talking to Google guys, just researching a little bit, and I asked how much amino acids, and it went on and on about all the benefits. I always just assumed amino acids were great for your muscles, but I guess your overall health is fantastic.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just a branched chain amino acids should be a part of everybody's daily regimen, really, whether you train or not.
Let me ask you that. So there's BCAA, branched chain amino acids, and then there's just amino acids. But there's there 4 particular amino acids?
There's essential and non-essential amino acids. So, the essential ones, I would put it this way, you need them to survive. Right. But, if you take a good branched chain amino acid powder, read the ingredients, but it should have a good, it should cover the essentials for sure. Absolutely all of them. And they're the building blocks of tissue and everything. Right. That were made of.
So, really. But you're still okay to take more than just the branched chain amino acids. Like my amino energy drink that I take in the morning has a lot of amino acids in it. It has the branched chain amino acids, but it has additional amino acids.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. I always just assumed it was just about strengthening your muscle. I didn't see all the health benefits. So very cool. Very good.
What did you think, just off topic, but going back to the Rangers, you and I were discussing it before about, do you think there needs to be some kind of change in the schedule that you get a team that's pretty well matched and they string out three game sevens in a row? And would you say they played how many games in how many days?
Yeah, it's like, I guess somebody asked us, like 30 games in 60 days over like the end of the season.
Yes, the problem is you'd be running the cup into August.
Yeah. But I just, you know what? It's obviously don't like it when your team's affected by it negatively.
Yeah.
But that has always been part of the lore of winning the Stanley Cup, the battle you have to go through to
Right.
get.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The good teams will teach you that if you get a chance to eliminate a team, you eliminate them, so you don't have to play those 7-game series.
Mhm.
But yeah, that is. I mean, I do remember. That was when you're playing, that's what you're. It's almost if we didn't win it, but to get someplace to go through that battle, the guys
Sure.
together, playing hurt and playing tired, and that's part of winning the Stanley Cup. But yeah, for the Rangers, listen, Tampa knows how to win, so maybe the Rangers.
Good hockey team. 4 years.
Yeah. All right, brothers. So listen, this is a topic near and dear to my heart and to Mark's, mental health amongst veterans, kids, everything. So if anybody wants to have any comments or suggestions, please send them our way because it's something I think it needs to be talked about more and more. And Mark agrees there too. So
yeah, anybody wants to talk to me and give me some ideas, I'll be really appreciative of it because this is something that's needs to be. We can do whatever we can do. Certainly needs to be done.
Definitely. All right, brother. Good to see you again. We'll see you next week.
All right, man. Have a good week.
You too.